And welcome back to a very special Who Would Win. Now, yesterday I made the point of saying that I had a birthday request video asked of me. Unfortunately, the requests that were asked were videos I couldn't do in one day. They were basically videos that would take more than one video to do, but they were what-if suggestions that I could tell just by looking at the topic. It would take at least a couple videos to do, minimum. And I already had ongoing what-ifs. I'm starting the next one up tomorrow. So I made a bitch like, look, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, those types of what ifs are gonna have to wait till actual just standard what ifs. If you have a birthday suggestion, who would wins, or just try to make your what ifs like one shots. Well, the person saw that they said it was cool, and they just gave me a different suggestion for their birthday. So, assuming that your birthday was yesterday, happy birthday, the 5th of April, to Justin Wanzo, who asked the question, who would win in the fight, Doomsday or, and I don't know if I got this guy's name correct, Geras or Geras? It might be Geras. Now, when I first saw this, I'm like, I don't know who this character is. Like, then I'm like trying to find it, like it's not coming up, and then eventually I found it. And I assume that Geras from Mortal Kombat was who you're talking about, seeing as you put him up against Doomsday, the near unkillable death machine. And let's get Doomsday out of the equation real quick. Obviously, Doomsday. Doomsday is the byproduct of an experiment. Now, basically, for those of you, for the one person who's watching this who doesn't know Doomsday's relative origin, sit down in the fun chair and pay attention for a few moments. So there, Bertrand, was that the scientist's name? It feels like Bertrand or whatever. Anyway, a scientist was doing an experiment on ancient Krypton. The experiment consisted of throwing a baby into the prehistoric wild, letting it die, scooping up the remains, basically reconstituting the DNA, resuscitating and, regrowing the baby, and doing it again. But every time the baby got stronger, it got more immune basically to what killed it previously, to the point where eventually it became a beast of a killing machine. Now, unfortunately, the scientists didn't actually know what to do after he succeeded, because it was just, a stupid thing that he wasn't actually doing for any reason other than he could. So Doomsday basically stuck on board a ship, ultimately landed on Earth, and the fight between him and Superman, it's most famously he's the one who killed Superman. Doomsday is one of the strongest beings in DC. He has gone toe-to-toe multiple times with Superman. He's beaten Darkseid down. He's taken on the Justice League multiple times. He can tag faster than light speed individuals. He has an immense healing factor. He has apparently poisoned his claws. This I didn't know about him until Death Battle brought up that his claws have poison in them. He's got the durability to tank blasts from Superman. To a certain degree, unless Superman's going all out. Even then, still keep going. He's evolved to the point where he actually doesn't have organs. That's how many times this happened over and over. He evolved so much he doesn't actually have any organs to function, yet he still lives. He's also now has a biologically, in his DNA embedded hatred of life and all things that live. He wants to snuff it out for that sheer purpose. He's busted through the Phantom Zone. He's literally, him being around, on Earth and Africa, I think made the waters boil and will to be set ablaze. Doomsday is, without a doubt, one of the scariest dudes you'd never want to face. So the only way, if I remember correctly, the way they ended up killing him was basically sending him to the end of time itself, and basically erasing his existence. If you can find a new way to kill him, great. But he's evolved past being bludgeoned to death. He's been incinerated, all that. So the question is, can you find new ways to kill him? Possible. I theoretically devised a way you could beat him with just anything, but you have to do a certain trick to do it. You'd have to look at my Apocalypse versus Doomsday fight to figure that out. But I did figure out a way you could beat Doomsday. So, Geras. Now, here's the thing. Geras, and I'm going to say that's how his name is pronounced, is a character in Mortal Kombat fighting series game, an immortal artificial construct created by the former Keeper of Time, Kronika. He's the loyal master of her plans and finalizing the new era. Made his debut in Mortal Kombat 11. Now, he is a loyal and powerful servant of the Keeper of Time, architect of the universe's destiny, Kronika. As a creation of Chronica herself, he possesses godlike strength, the ability to manipulate the sands of time, usually for like sand-based attacks, kind of like Gara almost, except he can do it like a lot easier. His most notable attribute, however, is his imperviousness to death. As a fixed point in time, he is able to recover from all manner of wounds, even fatal ones, within a matter of minutes, not seconds. He has died thousands of times, or 1,000 times over, and each time comes back stronger and wiser due to his immortality and immoral lifespan. He has witnessed various key events throughout history, including the Ice Age, Great Kung Lung's Lao's defeat, and at the hands of Goro, and even fought the former before. In terms of his actual abilities, he possesses the power to manipulate time and the sands of time. He controls control over time includes being able to stop its flow, teleport, rewind it, replay it in previous actions. By stopping the flow of time, he can freely interact with his opponents who are oblivious to his next move and completely unaware of it. His ability to rewind time itself is useful against enemies who successfully dodge his attacks, as he can simply rewind them back to the time when they had not yet moved before setting up another attack. He can also use it on himself as an escape method by rewinding himself from the moment of danger to safety. If necessary, he can erase others from existence instead of blasting them with energy that would normally freeze them in time. As Geras is a fixed point in time created by Chronica herself, this has granted him a degree of immortality, being able to revert time moments before his demise. Additionally, Geras grows stronger and wiser with each of his deaths, empowering him to the point where his might was on par, if not outright exceeded the power of both gods and elder gods, with only Raiden, Sindel, and Shao Kahn managing to defeat the Construct, with the former defeating him and banishing him into the Sea of Blood, with the latter two defeating Geras in the Soul Chamber in the altered timeline. His durability alongside his healing factor makes him nearly impervious to attacks, as he was able to instantly heal from getting shot by a barrage of bullets, allowing him to simply shrug it off and continue fighting. Sustaining massive damage to his being takes longer for him his healing factor to restore him, as it took longer to recover from being decapitated by Kung Lao's hat. When regenerating or even being revived, the sands of time themselves rebuild Chronica's most faithful servant. The element of sand is one of the few things he can control. Is one of the few things he controls or can control. He can harden sand to make it durable enough to create walls, tables, weapons by crushing and slashing enemies such as hammers. He can even become intangible by turning into sand, making him impervious to physical attacks. He can manipulate the earth in various ways, similar to Tremor. His ability, along with that, he also has supernatural strength and all that. So, who wins in this fight? Okay, Doomsday, let's just say, is crushing through the multiverse, basically, just going on a rampage. Until he winds up in the Mortal Kombat universe, and happens to wind up at Geralt's door. Geralt is like, "You monster, you do not belong in this time," and the fight begins. Doomsday immediately rushes in because he can, tag the Flash, so he's fast. Does land a shot that probably he's not immediately expecting, but he just rewinds the head. And just, Doomsday's just where'd he go? It's like, your strength is impressive. An actual blow for you could destroy me. And, Doomsday just keeps... Doomsday is, occasionally hitting, but it's nope. Doomsday's not understanding what's going on. So, it's going to be a lot of back and forth. He's delivering shots that aren't actually doing anything to Doomsday. Doomsday's durability is enough to take physical blows from this guy. Despite having godlike strength, he's gone up against people with godlike strength. So, there you go. Doomsday's just roaring, and then he blasts, trying to freeze him in time. Now, here's the thing. Doomsday, when they sent him... Let me actually see when the most recent time Doomsday has shown up in the comics. Doomsday. When was the last time we saw the man they call Doomsday, as if he is male? Man, that's a good question. I'm assuming that it's depicted as male, Doomsday, but technically Doomsday is genderless. So let's see. Rebirth Doomsday. Wonder Woman to take down Doomsday. After Flashpoint convergence, he made his way to Prime Earth, where he threatens both Superman and Lex Luthor, the Guardians of Metropolis. Somehow Doomsday's intelligence has grown. He becomes capable of using strategy against his foes. Superman was eventually able to lure Doomsday to the fortress, where he banished the Phantom Zone, but but was unaware that an unknown organization had intercepted to transport and capture Doomsday for their own purposes. So yeah, they brought Doomsday down. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, he came back. They've had to reboot. They've rebooted like twice, I believe, now at this point. So saying he came back from the end of time doesn't really count. But I would imagine, here's the thing, it's kind of like what happened in Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, where the character caught the character Jiren in a cage of time. But Jiren was so strong, he actually broke that cage of time. I feel like this would actually be a case here where, because let's be honest, we're talking about a guy who's God, basically God, like true God stats, not like Elder God, Shao Kahn, all that, or Raiden, who are powerful. But let's be honest, physically speaking, they're not anything special compared to other characters we see in fiction. Doomsday would honestly slaughter the majority of the Mortal Kombat cast, like no joke, like slaughter them dead. This is not one of those guys. This guy's definitely on a different tier, certainly on a different tier, but that doesn't mean he's completely outclasses Doomsday either. I think Doomsday might actually break out like this phase cage of time, whatever he's in, this blast of time, that to which it would surprise Geras as he gets another, as suddenly the bones shoot out of Doomsday, and he actually gets hit by one before he turns into sand. And he has to pull it out, and again, he rewinds time again. It's like, and was like, what are you, beast? I've had enough of, I don't know what his voice sounds like, by the way. I've had enough of this. And then the real kicker here, ultimately, is that he gets erased from existence. That's the thing. Ultimately, the fact of the matter is, Geras has the ability to erase something from existence, and as powerful as Doomsday is, he cannot survive having his existence basically just wiped out. That's something he can't be immune to. Because even dying, because it's like matter, basically. Matter does not, you cannot destroy matter. Matter just changes forms. That's why, ultimately, he was able to come back from even being disintegrated. Because the matter, yes, he got turned basically to ash. But that's still just changing states of matter. Whereas being erased completely, there's nothing to come back from. So, ultimately, Geras is going to win, I think, because, A, he's got the ability to just avoid any severe damage. And what damage he'd take, he can just rewind. He can strategize far more effectively than, say, Doomsday can. Although Doomsday has grown more intelligent as the comics, in certain iterations of the comics. But the ability to actually, erase others from existence is one you cannot overlook. So, yeah. Ultimately, I go with Doomsday in this fight. Geras in this fight. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This was a special birthday again for who would win for Justin Wanzo. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks next time.